Hello, good morning, happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to Being Civil in Minnesota. This is a Facebook group where people can come and get free information about the legal process and the legal system in the state of Minnesota. I'm Megan Mays. I'm a family law attorney. I've been practicing in the state of Minnesota for around 12 years. This does not make me your lawyer. Hi, good morning. Good to see you. Please pop in the comments and let me know if you have any questions about today's topic. What this is a place where we can talk about things in the state of Minnesota. Today's topic is going to be talking about criminal records and how that might or might not impact a custody or parenting time situation. So I hope that you'll ask questions if you have them today. Hi, good morning, welcome. I had two fantastic questions from group members, so I just want to give a shout out to people who are posting in the group. Hello, Blake, good morning. So good to see you. I hope you're doing well. I want to give a shout out to people who are posting in the group and asking their questions. You can absolutely do so anonymously. There's no need to disclose any personal information. This is a safe space. So, but I'm not your lawyer. This is not legal advice. All right. So, getting into why are we even talking about criminal records, right? What does that matter? What do people care? Well, if it's a parking ticket, probably very little. And I think just before I talk about what impacts it can have on a custody case, we should talk about the differences about how you get charged, or the process as to how you get charged with the crime, because the crime, it's going to depend on what process you're at, or what place in the process you're at, the severity of the charges and the outcome of the criminal case, and the impact. Hi, good morning, thanks for coming. And the impact of the criminal record or the charge on your relationship with your kiddos. And so, first of all, law enforcement is charged. Their job is protect and serve and investigate, obviously. So if you think a crime has been committed, that's who you would report it to. Law enforcement does their investigation. Once they're done, they typically will give that report to the agency who's in charge of prosecuting crimes, and they will make a charging decision. And for criminal, they have to prove that you did something beyond a reasonable doubt. So sometimes, even though there's information or an investigation, not everybody is charged with a crime. And that is certainly true in cases involving domestic abuse. Not all domestic abuse situations are reported to law enforcement, and even if they are, not all reports are charged out or even convicted. So there can be conduct that is criminal that doesn't always get resolved through the criminal process that a court will take into consideration. So investigation, prosecutor, they make the charging decision. Once a charging decision is made, then the case goes in front of a jury of your peers or a judge. And then it'll be determined whether or not there is a conviction, meaning that the proof was made and that the person has been either, they've pled guilty or they were found guilty. There can be many ways a conviction can happen. There's also varying levels of crimes. We're talking felony, not great. That's the worst, right? Gross misdemeanor, misdemeanor, and then petty misdemeanors. So this week I got two questions about the intersection of criminal law and family law. So one, I want to make sure that I am doing them justice. So I want to, the first question was from an anonymous member, and they wanted to know whether or not a new partner who has a criminal record for sexual misconduct of a minor. And so the question was, If you date someone who has a felony and was found guilty of sexual misconduct of a minor, can that be used against you with parenting time or custody? In this person's situation, parenting time and custody have already been established. They're just asking for information about the future. One of the group members came in, rightfully so. Any criminal sexual misconduct of a minor is a major red flag for courts in making decisions about custody and parenting time. And so the conversation on the group was, of course this is going to matter. And sometimes courts can do interesting things. The people who make the decisions are judges, and judges are imperfect humans, and they have their own history and experience that they bring to the bench, which we love. And so it can depend. So for example, this person wants to know if it's just okay to date somebody who has this on their record. And in theory, yeah, there's nothing that prohibits you necessarily from doing so. The court, when they make decisions about custody and parenting time, they want to look at what's best for the kiddos. And so a court can't look at things that don't impact the child. So if you're just pen paling with a felon and the child has never met the person, or you don't intend to introduce them, it's possible that a court could just not want to have any information about that. And so that is kind of a decision that you are going to have to make for you and your family. So there are certain situations under Minnesota Statute 257.026. Parents are supposed to notify, and I found this interesting, the other parent, the county, or the court, if you are either living with or married a person who is convicted of certain crimes. Now, again, we're not talking parking tickets, but if you marry or live with a person who has been convicted of some really crimes that have been determined to have generally negative impacts on children, murder, malicious punishment of a child, kidnapping. So one of those is the solicitation of a child to engage in sexual conduct. So if you do move in with this person or you do marry them, that can absolutely be considered by a court in making a determination of what's in a child's best interest. So dating, different than living with somebody. Judges are going to have different viewpoints as to when it is even appropriate to date someone in general. So the less felonies they have is generally the better. How do you know if somebody you are wanting to enter a relationship with is a felon? Well, names and dates of birth is a good start, and with that information you can go on the Minnesota Court Records online search and you can look up somebody's criminal history, and that can be a really good source of information. Now, we are not our past, right? Okay, if you are out there and you're like, oh, I have a, I got to a bar fight when I was 20 and I got charged with assault, and I'm 48 years old now and I've had no other similar charges. That doesn't bother me as much, and I would hope it wouldn't bother a judge as much than if you got pulled over drinking and driving at 4 o'clock in the afternoon with 2 kids in the back seat. That is a different level of impact, I would say, on the kiddos. So any questions on that so far? If the person you want to date has a criminal record. Okay. So the other question is a little bit longer, but again, I want to make sure that I get all the information. So this person asked, my ex and I were never married, and I have sole custody of our 4 children. The first 2 years, I gave him a chance to see the kids anytime he wanted, within reason. He didn't take them often, but I hardly said no when he asked. 2 years ago, he started dating someone who put off a ton of red flags, and all of a sudden, he wanted the kids all the time. I looked into her more and found out disturbing information about her and why she didn't have custody of her own children, and she no longer wanted the kids with the other parent unless he was staying with his family and his girlfriend wasn't allowed to be around. The other parent went over 8 months without seeing the kiddos, and then their partner went to jail. After the partner went to jail, she let him have the kids a few times because he said they were done. When the new partner got out of jail on bail, they got married and concealed that he was no longer with her. So once she found out, she stopped letting the kiddos go there and found out that the new partner was just sentenced to 50 years in jail for child endangerment resulting in death. Oof. He's now filing for custody. Not good timing. I added that part, sorry. This person gave him all the court documents of this partner's investigation, the truth of what was going on with their son. And so this person wants to know, will they look bad in court for keeping the kids from him? Even though this other, the spouse is in jail, they are married, does he have a chance at parenting time? Okay, so that's a lot to unpack there. And first of all, I didn't see in the facts, but this person says that they have sole custody. So that can either be by statute, since they were never married, or by court order. If this person is coming and there's not a court order for parenting time, there's going to be a presumption of 25% parenting time. However, a court can restrict parenting time if they believe that a child's physical, emotional, developmentally is going to be in danger. So you can overcome that presumption of 25%, but that is kind of where the court is going to start. Now, I said that this is bad timing for the other individual because it seems like the charges are very recent. I'm not sure what the motivation would be to establish parenting time at this point, but what a court can look at is the history of the involvement, the fact that they were not involved for a while and then came back in the involvement, not sharing information, not being honest and forthcoming and sharing relevant things are certainly things that a court will look at. While you should be getting notice that they have married a felon, I'm not seeing this happening in actual practice. So it's going to be up to you to provide that information to the court to make sure that they have all the information to make a relevant decision, including, who's been doing the work, what are the children's needs, what kind of impact this change would have on them. And all of those can be found in the Child Focused Parenting Time Guide that's on the Minnesota Judicial Branch website. So, there's a lot to unpack there. A felony is not necessarily a deal breaker, but when you have, when you hit some of the crimes that are listed in 518.179, and it's either you or your significant other that has those kinds of actual convictions, that is something that a court is going to look very closely at. So thanks again to everybody who showed up today, and for those of you that pop on later, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Join the group Being Civil in Minnesota. Let me know what you want to talk about next week, and I will see you here next time. Take care.